from here. And next thing I know, I see a white light come, right? And so it was like this huge white light in this pitch black. And then inside the light, there was light beings. And so I was kind of like going around looking at everything because there was like, even within the light, there was so much to see, but nothing to see. And then this energy was just still emanating from them.
We're here with Laura Molecavage, and she's a mystic spiritual teacher, and she has had many spiritual transformations, including an NDE. Can we start out by mentioning your experience, the day that you crossed over?
My life was just like a lot of suffering, which then kind of led to different experiences. But I also had a lot of intuitive abilities when I was younger, and I wasn't able to express or talk about them. So I was able to determine, when like 9/11 was happening. I also knew when people would die, right before they were going to die. And I didn't really know what was going on because I didn't have that right upbringing, right, to help me through that. So I got into toxic relationships and a lot of things happened. But although it was a bad thing, it ended up being a good thing because it led to my awakening, right? The passing over basically was where I had surrendered my life. And because I couldn't kill myself, and I didn't have people, there, I didn't feel safe enough to go to anybody. I surrendered my life. And when I say that, I mean, I had told Source that, I don't know what this life is about, but, if this is what it's about, then I don't want it. You can have it back. So I literally demanded, and I told Source I don't want it, and I surrendered it. Next thing I know, I am like just out of the body, right? And so then I go over to the other side and I'm seeing like this blackness. And I didn't know what it was. It was like a pitch black. And from that point, like I didn't even feel like I couldn't sense if anything was out there. And I didn't even have a body because I looked at like my body. I'm like, where am I? What am I doing? And it was so black pitch that I couldn't even see like a body or anything. And I tried to feel, and I couldn't feel any sense of a body, right? And so from that point, next thing I do, I'm looking around to see like, what am I going to do from here? And next thing I know, I see a white light come, right? And so it was like this huge white light in this pitch black. And then inside the light, there was light beings. I didn't know who they were, but I felt comfortable with them. So I wasn't greeted with like Jesus or anything like that, parents or anything. And so I was trying to communicate with them. And because I don't have a body, I can't talk, right? Or, I can't relate to them in this body because I don't have it at that point. And so they said, use your telepathy. And so I was like, okay. And me being just out of the body, not remembering at this point, I'm like, how do you do that? And they just said, just drop it all. Right. And so I just did what I thought I was doing. And it was like, I was like, okay, I'm just going to like close my eyes, but I didn't have any eyes to close. Right. So I didn't have the body. And so I was just like, okay, I'm just going to let it go. And it was like, after that, like I was able to communicate with them because then the telepathy kicked in, your intuitive abilities, which we all have. It's just in this form, we don't have it because we're in the body. It's kind of shut down if you don't keep it open. But at that point, then I had gone into the light with them, right? From there, we went to this place and it was all white light. There was nothing there. It was just emptiness, like full emptiness. It was like an expansion of white light from the darkness to the light. And from there, though, even in the lights, because when they first came, I knew that somebody was there because I can sense and feel like an energy there of a being. I just couldn't see it. From there, we went to this place and we were just in this white light. And I was kind of starting to remember everything. And so I was kind of like going around looking at everything because there was like, even within the light, there was so much to see, but nothing to see. it is really hard to explain that there was so much going on, but nothing really to see because you can't see without a body, right? But you know it's there, you're sensing, you're feeling, but you're not hearing anything. It's just, you know, everything is there. So anyway, I'm looking around trying to find somebody that I know or people or things like that, but it's like, and they tried to usher me back to this one space because I was just all over the place, right? Uh, and in the light, there was like this space that they put me over towards, and they were like, well, how about you have a kind of like have a seat here or wait here. And I was like, well, where? Because there was no like physical couch or anything. Like, how do you like, okay, what am I going to sit on? And so then a couch appeared, but there was no real couch. It was an intuitive couch. It was like intuitive and see, it's really hard to explain and put into words, but it was like a couch appeared and I sat down, and then some other people came, and it was like this whole play out that came into the reality. And it was like this couch and then a chair and then this like coffee table appeared, and they were like, oh well, I'll be right back. And so I'm more curious about what's going on around me, and then just sitting there waiting, right? Because I'm like, where am I? I want to explore. And so I was trying to leave, and then this person came to keep me occupied, right? So they were talking to me. Now I don't remember, because now I'm back on this side, I don't remember all of the conversations that went on. But at some point, we went into a room, though there was no real room, but it was a sensation that there was a room, right? And it's still all white. There's no doors, windows, or anything like that. So we went into this room, and from there, it was like we did the life review. I don't remember much about it because, again, I was supposed to come back in and do some more work, which I ended up, going through the kundalini and then having all the other experiences. Because if I knew, then, I wouldn't have been able to have the full experience and the understanding and knowledge that comes with it. So in order for me to come back and do that, they've kind of wiped out a lot of it. And then again, the only thing I really remember is being filled up with the love, and then, going through the life review and seeing it from that point of view on there. And then the questions they ask you actually is how do you think you've done? And then what could you do better? And then from there, you can either make change, but there is no judgment, punishment, and reoccurring what you've done to reap, how they say you're going to get what you deserve. But it is not like that. I remember bits and pieces of it. But then as that was done, that was the last thing that I remember from the other side. I came back. Now they told me they were going to wipe a lot of my memory away because there was stuff I had to do when I come back. And it was more of like it wasn't, I wasn't forced to come back. It was something that I chose to do. Having gone through the conversations and everything that we were talking about and everything that they showed me, and because I had stuff still to do and work out, and then to go through the awakenings, they were going to kind of wipe away some of that. And I wasn't going to be able to bring all that back to me anyway, because you can't bring all that back with you into this physical form. It's just too much. So I came back. Next thing I know, I'm woken up in my bed. Now before I went, I was standing up next to my bed. When I woke up, I was in my bed, and then there was an angel next to me, right? And so there was an angel lying next to me. And so when I woke up, I was like kind of on my side, right? And it was like I went to bed by myself, and I'm trying to remember making sense of all this, coming back into this this reality. And I looked up to the window or to the ceiling fan, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm back here again. No, why am I back here? And next thing I know, I feel this energy lying next to me, right? And I'm like, somebody is next to me. Now I know I went to bed, or I didn't even go to bed. Like, I don't even know what happened. From that point, I was like, maybe I'm just dreaming. Maybe I'm not even back here, right? And so I closed my eyes, and I was like, okay, I'm going to open my eyes again, and open my eyes. And that sensation of somebody was still next to me. Next thing I know is like, I feel the sensation of energy from the top of my head to my toes. and then this lifting. And as it lifted, tons of love was just radiating from that being. And I was like, and then in my intuitive eye, my third eye, my sensing, because I still remembered the sensing, because it was like, okay, remember, let me just try this sensing. Maybe I can tune in because I can't see anything. Right now, I had gifts when I was younger, but I didn't know how to use them. But I was like, okay, I remember using my intuitive abilities on the other side, and that memory came back to me. It was like they were telling me to use my intuitive abilities again. So I was like, okay. So I did that again, but now I'm back in bed doing that on this side. And I seen this angel. And I was like, oh my God. And so I got up out of bed really quick and stood on one side, and they stood on the other side. They got up and stood on that side. And then this energy was just still emanating from them, which then lasted with me for like 3 days. And so all the suffering that I had gone through, which was very soul wrenching and deep, dark, which I can kind of get into that too as well, continue that. But it just was gone. And I was like, it's gone. That suffering is just gone. That darkness, that the light that went out within myself was gone. And I was like, I feel better. I feel good. I feel love. And so that love just stayed with me for like 3 days after that. And then they started dissipating. And so then they disappeared.
A lot of people take some time to understand what happens to them when they have these type of experiences, and they also take a long time to share it with other people. A lot of people don't believe these things. So can you tell me about what happened to you when you came back? Did you notice anything different apart from having lost your depression or sadness?
So my abilities were more heightened, and I had gotten guidance along the path, which now has led me here. So it led me through meditation, and it led me to go to yoga, which I had an out-of-body experience. And so it's just kind of led me to that path because my abilities were then more open, and I was following the guidance that I was receiving. So there was somebody still there guiding me, although I didn't feel or know who it was. I could hear, them saying, okay, go here, do this. This person's going to come in and teach you meditation. This person's going to come and teach you yoga. And so it was just a continuation for like a whole 10 years of awakening and experiences at that point. And then I didn't really start sharing any of my experiences until like this last year, because for one, I didn't feel like people around me in my environment, again, weren't accepting of it. And I didn't really know anybody who was actually talking about it and sharing the experience. So it kept me from sharing until I met, people online who were actually sharing their experiences. And so it helps me to feel more comfortable, of course, with sharing.
When did you start channeling, and who basically do you channel?
I know there's angels, guides. I have channeled along my journey since the awakening, like Carl Jung, other people who have helped me. Jesus has come in quite a bit. So I've had a lot of different, it's not one specific. It's really depending on the situation that I'm, working with or what it was the topic. 6 or 7 years ago, I started doing some channeling, and I was getting this I am all the time. I'm like, what is I am? And when I did the automatic writing, which I started automatic writing prior to near-death experience, but it kind of developed more and opened up after the near-death experience. So I was able to have more clear writing. And with that, like the I am just kept coming. And I'm like, what is I am? Who is I am? And it took me on this inner journey of who I am, because it's within me, right? And that's the experience of yourself, your true self, your higher self, right? And the expansion of all that is. And so that's your higher awareness of being, which is connected to the divine source. So it is your spark, right? And so the I am is your own awareness. And so that brings in the channelings for me. So I connect to the I am.
Well, a lot of mystics and channelers talk about the I am. Also in the Bible, when Moses is talking to the burning bush, he asks, "Who is it?" And the answer he gets is, "I am that I am."
Yeah, I get a lot of that. And I'm like, okay. So me going on this journey, I'm being taught, I'm being led, and I'm trying to share this information and get it out there, and to also help, with other channelers. Now I don't channel like others because I do it through verbalization, and a lot of times it'll just come through me when I'm speaking, so I don't really check out. So I just trans as I'm here, and sometimes you'll might notice that as the information comes out, how it may speed up or sometimes like that, but at the same time, I'm still here present. I don't check out with that, but I'm learning along the way as my own path as well.
You mentioned in your YouTube channel that your soul is one of the first waves of volunteers that has come to transform the world by helping to raise the vibration and bring in the teachings of I am. Can you expand on that?
Yes. So during my journey, shortly after that, as I said, I've been kind of guided on the way. And I had no clue. I didn't know anything about, the waves of awakening and things like that. But it was interesting because like I had woken up one morning and was still in my sleep state, and the phone went off, and there was a video by Matt Kahn. And so it was that video where he was talking about the first waves of volunteers and things like that. And I was like, oh, well, let me listen to this because I've been kind of following guidance up until, from ever that the point of my near death experience. And it was about that topic. And the minute I heard that, was like this sigh of relief of my soul within myself. I was like, oh my God, this voice said I didn't miss it. I'm here, I'm awake, and I'm awakening. Right. And so that brought like so much fulfillment within myself. I could just feel the energy and vibration. So I have a real connection with my soul um, as I work more, with myself and things like that. But it was just that sigh and that voice that said I didn't miss it, the Great Awakening. So here I am present, helping others to, reconnect with themselves and help to lift the consciousness.
How would you define your spiritual teaching or your spiritual message?
Basically, we are all connected. We're all one. We're all love and lights and the beings that we were created to be. And in that, there's also the shadows and the darkness, which we are living out in the human perception and that consciousness. And from that awareness, we create, wherever it is that we're on that level. And so being consciousness, being conscious of what we're doing helps or hinders our evolution, our growth. And so from that point of view, we are able to see what's happening on the macro level, but also on our individual level, right? And so a lot of times we may not be aware of it because we're in the human consciousness seeing from that point of view, but when we step out of it, we can see more from a higher view, which is our higher consciousness and source.
What about death? What do you think about this? Your experience has taught you about that.
So from the experience of death, there is no death. And I have a lot of information on the channel already. We just pass over. And from my experience, we don't have, because a lot of it here is identity separation and what our beliefs are, which don't pertain to the other side. There's no judgment. There's no, we're going to send you to hell. We're going to, send you to heaven. It's just the existence of the other side, which is all things, right? And relative to the thing that I didn't share that they're wanting me to put in here, when you go to do your life review, they integrate the energy and vibration of love. So your review is based from a point of love, which is the other side. And so when you do your review, you're seeing it from that perspective, not the human perspective, if that makes sense, because then you have a different view of it. And so that resides within you when you come back into the collective for another lifetime.
Do you think that you came back with a mission? And what is your mission?
Right. So that's, I didn't remember, of course, because I wiped away. And as I was going through all the different guidances and everything that they told me, the kundalini, the meditation, the yoga experiences, awakening up, working on myself, and the first wave, I've kind of put it all together. And then the experience that I initially had that really put it all together is the one where I actually heard Source speak to me. And so I was actually just quickly, walking on the beach. I lived on the beach at the point when this happened, and I walked into the water and then was doing actually some energy cleansing, right, which was very interesting. And coming back out of the water, I heard, "You were meant to write." Right. And there was nobody around me, but this resounding voice just was like everywhere, but nowhere to be seen. Right. Because nobody was around me. And I was like, who's saying that? Right. And I was like, I likened it to like, and not that I am, I don't want to make myself out to be like Jesus or anything like that, but I liken it to like when they say he went to the mound or whatever it was, the mountain and the burning bush, and you heard them speak, right? Source speak to you. And so that's what it was to me. That's how I can relate to it. It was like you were meant to write, so write. And so I was like, okay, what am I writing? what am I writing? And then I was like, oh, I get it. I do the automatic writing and the channeling. And so that set me on the path of going and working and developing and honing my skills and abilities. Right. And so that led me to the Arthur Findlay College and the channeling and the energy healing and all those modalities that you do. And so that's pretty much where I've developed and earned that.
What do your messages, the ones that you do with automatic writing, say?
So they cover a diverse like information. So it's not anything specific topic. So it's a diverse information. So it can range basically, from our everyday life to understanding the other side. A lot of it so far has been implementing the truth, not that there's anything wrong with our belief systems, but they're wanting to clarify the truth of our existence. So that has to do with like, we are love, we are one, and then there is no right, there's no wrong, there is only being, there is truth of what we're living because it's an existence or experience that we have. But within that truth, it's false because it's not true to the one, which is source. Right. And it's not above or below or outside of us, it's within us. Right. And it's the explanation. They're trying to bring through the knowledge and wisdom that they have, and that I have to bring it together and to put it into a book. So I've been channeling a book in the writings, and I actually have two free books, which actually was little clips when it first started after the beach walk, and I got the message to start reading. The channeling just started coming in like all the time, constantly, and I have those on the channel as well. You can listen to that story. But yeah, it's just about clarifying the truth and telling people, what it is on the other side, and how it actually is, to clarify and demystify a lot of stuff that's actually going on, as far as the teachings of the Bible and the religions and things like that, because it is not helpful. What they're saying now is to the human evolution, to be in the states of fear, and to live from that place, and when you are saying that source will punish you and judge you, you're actually going against source. because it's a lie, right? So you're fabricating the awareness of who you truly are and then of source, right? So they're actually going against source in saying those things. And that which establishes fear and gender and agenda, for a lot of people, which hurts and, contributes to the destruction of evolution as it's meant to be. And so that brings forth the knowledge and wisdom for the books that I'm preparing.
So, what do these books talk about? Or could you read part of it?
I don't have one accessible
Okay.
at the moment. I should have brought it, but they are on Amazon right now. The first two.
You've published these books?
Yes, I have two of them self-published on Amazon right now, and
Oh.
they're little clips of when the information just started flowing through, and so I was just writing them down whenever I had time, and so I just put those out there as a place to start. But I'm now in the midst of like creating the bigger. Now that I have a grasp on it and understanding, I'm creating more of a put together book, if you will.
So what do you do to help people? Do you offer consultations? Basically, what do you offer?
I do life coaching. That's how I put it. I was in the counseling field and I have, degrees and everything. However, as I evolved, it's something you can't do in the workplace, because you kind of have your hands tied. So I've transitioned and was guided to do life coaching and my own sessions, my own business. So I help people with life coaching sessions and to help them along the journey and the path. And I give my experience, to them if they want to go on that journey. Because the path that I've created, that they've told me that is accessible to everybody, as I've created, it's an opening and path for them if they want to go on the journey. So I can direct them on that path if that's the path they want to take. But also they can take their own path by just connecting to source directly. But the book and what I do kind of all correlates to that. The one-to-one sessions, of course, I do the YouTube channel, and I am creating some courses and things like that along the way as they're being given, and I'm channeling them. So, that'll help you as well, and that'll be on the websites for you if you're interested in that. But yeah, I pretty much do the one-to-one sessions at the moment, and then there's the YouTube, of course, that's available.
If someone wants to contact you, how can that person do it?
So I have a website. You can go to my website. I have the links there for you, and then also you can also book a session.
Okay, so send me the links and I will include it in the description.
Okay.
And also your website, and you have an email if someone wants to write to you.
The email will be info.lauramolecavage@gmail.com.
Anything else you want to mention or a final message for those who are watching this?
So as a collective, we are in the awareness of raising and rising right now. And so a lot of things are going to shift and change. And from that, it's just, being aware of that and not holding on to things that no longer serve you, and to let them go, even if it's something that's you may find that you are not wanting to let go, but is in all of, it's in the good for, everybody and everything.
This has been the A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.